We believe that wealth is a journey, and that this is your jumpstart to trading success. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Trader's Mindchat show, where we believe that wealth is a journey and that this is your jumpstart to trading success. I'm Mike.
And I'm Melissa, and we have an awesome show planned for you today. We have Akil Stokes joining us, who is the co-founder of TierOneTrading. He's going to be coming on the show to talk about how a competitive spirit can lead to trading success.
Yeah, Akil's an awesome guy. He's been on the show a bunch of times already, and I can't wait to talk to him again.
And you guys have an exciting thing coming up at the end of this month, too, which you'll be talking about.
Yes, the Trader Vault Summit. Cannot wait. It's going to be incredible. Star-studded lineup. Yours truly, plus, of course, Jason Greystone, Akil Stokes, Brett Steenbarger, Mike Bellafiore, and an entire host of great panelists. Can't wait to meet those guys.
Oh, great. So before Akil joins us, we're actually going to be talking about perseverance. Like, how can you build up perseverance as a habit in order to succeed at trading? And Mike, you are a marathon runner.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. I've run marathons, but I'm not sure I would call myself a marathon runner. Like
you've run 3 more than I have, so I would say.
But yeah.
But it's one of those things where each of the times that you have run a marathon, you've had different types of training. And I want to hear a little bit more about how you trained for each of those marathons and how those skills helped.
Because it all everything relates to everything else. And so running a marathon, there's plenty of analogies that fit right into trading. But I like that you picked up on the different marathons themselves, because each one has a little bit of its own story and also translates differently into trading. So the first one, right, like that's when I'd never run a marathon before, wasn't quite sure what to expect along the journey, but I was the type of person that wanted to get a whole team around me. I ended up joining Fred's team. So I had coaches.
What's Fred's team again?
Oh yeah, so Fred's team is a charity. They raise money for all different kinds of cancer research, predominantly pediatric cancer research at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And it's a great group. There were maybe about 400 of us or so that were in that group. And we would train together every weekend. And it was great. But they had other people there that have, starting out like me, other people that were very experienced runners, and others that are professionals. So I was able to get advice from them and train the right way to run that first race. Even with the coaches, though, I still had to learn my own things. There were different things that I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way about things like chafing.
Just sounds painful.
Things that like nip guards. It's like that picture. For anybody that's picked up a copy of the Mara Mindshift Guide over there, or next to Optimus, back up there, there's a picture of me running the marathon. Well, that one was a half marathon, but you can't really tell because it's black and white, but there's like a streak of red running down my shirt.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's me learning about nip guards the hard way, and thankfully I found out about it on the half marathon, so I was better prepared for the full marathon.
Oh, great. And you also had some issues with your knee for that first marathon, right?
Yeah, I ended up blowing out my knee maybe about two or 3 months before the full marathon, and that never happened to me before. And
it was also because of the training, how you were training. You weren't doing weight training, like working on your legs. You were just working on endurance running at that point when you were with the team in Central Park.
Right, yeah. So, and that's another important thing too. So I had the team around me. We were all running together, but no one had mentioned strength and conditioning at that point. So I was just running with them. We were of course, running distance. We did hill work, but there wasn't any kind of weight training associated with it. So what ended up happening was the muscles around the knee, like the quads that ended up getting no, I think it's the hamstrings that end up getting stronger than the quadriceps, and as a result, over time, you end up scraping the knee, the different bones in the knee,
Oh,
and
wow.
so when that happened, that's pretty painful in real time, and so I could barely walk, and so it that does heal. Thankfully, it took me about 2 weeks to heal, but
No, it's a good thing you found out when you did, because I know so many runners now in their 50s and 60s who were long distance runners who have issues with their knees. So these are all things that they didn't know earlier on when they were just beginner runners.
right. So now I learned the hard way, incorporated that into future training. But yeah, like doing a lot of different exercises for strengthening my leg muscles at the gym. So lots of reps, low weight count, and then that's something that was able to get me ready for to continue on with the first marathon, and then incorporating that into future marathons.
So how would you compare that first marathon to the second marathon when you had already run it before so you knew what to expect?
Yeah, so in the second marathon, it was a lot easier in that regard. Like I already knew about all the shaping issues. I knew about the leg issues. I also knew about the nutrition along the way. So having those little, they make these little gel packs. And so what you would do is like you run well with a bunch of these in your pocket, and every about once an hour, like you tear it open and you eat it. Right? In addition to like any kind of water or Gatorade stations that they have. So I would be using that, and that's one of the things that helps to prevent cramping and to help keep you fueled for the entire race. Learning about all these different things I had no idea before, but because I had all this information, I was able to take that with me into the second race, and the second race was a lot easier. I ended up beating my first time by close to 45 minutes.
That's impressive. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, taking like those first two races, we were actually running the marathon in New York City with the crowd cheering on. There I was with my pom poms and sign, saying "Go, Mikey." Now we come to 2020, which is during the pandemic, and you ran a virtual marathon. So how did that compare?
Yes, virtual marathon is not like just running on a treadmill. It was just they had this thing where you downloaded this app from New York Roadrunners, and it would track you as you ran the 26.2 miles. We got a group of us together. Actually, it was a couple of neighbors that you met.
Yeah, Christine and John.
Yeah,
yes.
Christine and John, yeah, that inspired this whole thing. So they told you that they were doing it, and you knew that I wanted to do it last year for my...
Which was 2019.
Yeah, 2019 for my 40th birthday. Didn't get into that race, but then you met them with about maybe, 2 or 3 months to go before marathon day, and it's just like... And they were saying that they could do it, and then you're like, oh, Mike, well, why don't you go do this?
Well, I knew it was something you would really wanted to do for your 40th, and I was like, oh my god, and it was... You didn't have to run it on the actual marathon day, which had been in November, so you could do it in October. And I'm like, wow, Mike, you can still be 40 when you run this marathon, so you can still get the medal, the whole thing. And it just sounded like a great idea at the time.
Yeah, of course. Let's go run a marathon for fun. To me, that sounds like a fun day. I don't know about you guys, but
for 2 months training, you weren't prepared.
And that's the thing too. So normally for a full marathon, I'm training for about 8 months or longer. 2 to 3 months seemed quick to get it into marathon shape, but because of the year before, right? So in 2019, I was training for the marathon and just didn't get in by a lottery or anything else for 2019 marathon. I had run from my house to Jones Beach, this beach that's about 10 miles from the house. And I ended up doing that and coming back, but I wasn't anticipating doing it that day. I just kind of ran my normal route. I'm like, oh, I want to see if I could get to the beach. And so I ran there, and it was 10 miles, and I thought, wow, I've got to run back. So I could either.
And I had no idea he was doing this, by the way. I couldn't even find him like the side of the road. Like, where are you?
So I get to Jones Beach, and I'm like, all right, I could either call a cab, I could call you, or I can man up and run home. So I opted for number 3, of running back home, and I was able to do 20 miles in about 4 hours. Right? It was actually about 22 miles. I think I ran a longer way back. So I'm like, all right, I was able to do that without having. Like, my intention to run that day was 10. I ended up doing 22, and I felt fine. And I felt fine like the days after too. You remember I was feeling.
Yeah, I remember. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case on the actual marathon date.
No. So that gave me a sense of overconfidence to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And also, in 2019, I didn't have any of the nutrition or anything. I had water with me, but that was it. So I'm like, all right, I guess I don't need this stuff, and I don't need anything else. Like, I'll be good to go in 2-3 months training, and that'll be it. So,
and this is also one of the cases where it's not like an actual marathon route. They were just running through the preserve in the neighborhood to make sure that they're tracking their time to get to the 26-mile mark. So there weren't like water stations or things that were available that would have been there for the actual marathon day.
So no crowds, no water on the side, but like carrying the backpack with me with the water in it. But because I had done the thing at Jones Beach, I thought that I was good to go with just that pack. So I didn't bother with the goo or anything else. And I was overconfident, and
you struggled.
I struggled during the virtual.
And you almost didn't finish, right?
I wouldn't say that.
But luckily he had a group with him.
I had a group with me. Thankfully, my brother-in-law, Melvin, stayed with me while we were doing it. We did it in about 5 hours. And, I feel as though I would have had a stronger race if I didn't have that overconfidence.
There's so many parallels to trading for each of these 3 races, which is why we took the time to actually go through each one, where you can even see from the beginner trader perspective, not knowing what to expect, and maybe, like I said, having the knee issues or having some sort of things that they just didn't know about as they embarked upon this journey.
Right.
And then for the second marathon, having more comments. I did it before. I could do it. Learning the nutrition, having the goo, having the different resources that you need to be better prepared. But then, like you said, for that third race, having that overcomes. I've had that past success. I can do it again. And then struggling. And how many traders have been in that position, Mike?
You end up like, oh, I know this. And then you start slacking off on the things that got you to where you were trying to go, right? Like, so the newer traders, they come in, they don't know what to fully expect, even with having read stuff, even with coaches. They're still going to hit some stumbling blocks, and that's perfectly okay. That's normal. That's part of the journey. Then you start to learn more, and you gain more confidence and consistency, and you feel as though you're over the hump, right? And that point is where people tend to start to fall off. And I experienced that too. And part of the reason why is because you think that, great, like, I'm over the hump. I don't have to continue to do this work that got me there. And so, there's plenty of people that have said, you sleep on a win, you wake up with a loss. That's what happened to me. That's happened to me before in trading. That happened to me sort of in this marathon. And you can't slack on the things that get you there. There's always going to be that kind of maintenance involved to perform at your best.
I know for that peak performance, like, I think it's not just in marathons or trading. I think it's even for dieting. Like you kind of think like, oh, I'm starting to feel good again, and then you start eating the bad junk again because you think, oh no, it's not good. What's one M&M? What's one piece of cake? And then you start falling back into those bad habits again. So I think that that's so true for traders, where you're like, oh, I did this. Do I really need to meditate? Do I really need to do that thing that got me to that optimal performance? And then that's when they realize that they're hitting some roadblocks, or they're struggling more than they thought that they would.
How you do something is how you do everything. That's how you develop good habits, and then you just continue to reinforce the good habits and hopefully maintain them, and that helps to crowd out the bad habits. And then as you are so now we're on habit development, so you would develop one good habit that starts to bleed into other things. Then after you develop that habit, and it generally takes about 66 days to develop and install a new habit, then that frees you up to do something else. It's kind of like, well, it's almost like what we were just doing with the social media stuff, right? Like, so we got this new program where we could start uploading some of the content in bulk and scheduling it ahead. After that's done, then that frees up our bandwidth to do other things. And
no, it's so true. And if you need help with habit building, go to www.marawealth.com, where you can download the 66-day tracker, and that will help you continue to build out that habit and track your progress. And I think that's going to be beneficial to you on whatever level of trader you are.
Yeah, it's part of the 10 Steps to Trading Mastery course that we have too. That's a free thing on the site as well. You could download it at marawealth.com.
Great. And we are going to be having Akil Stokes to tell you a little bit more about how you can continue to develop great habits, and how you can develop that competitive spirit can help you with your trading, right after this word from our sponsor.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Traders Vault Online Summit. This is an exclusive virtual trading event with both panel discussions and multiple breakout sessions with some of the top traders in the industry. I'm thrilled to be a panelist at this event, and it will be on April 23rd, 2021. Be sure to register at TierOneTradingUK.com. Welcome back to the Traders Mindchat show. Today we have Akil Stokes with us. Akil is a great friend of the show. Well, what is this? The third or fourth time we're chatting, Akil?
Many times. I don't know, but it never gets old. Never gets old.
It never gets old. And the more that I get to know you, the more impressed I become with you. So here's Akil's bio, right? So Akil founded Tier One Trading, hosts the Trading Coach podcast, is a professional trader with and professional trader, trading coach, writer for Entrepreneur and Forex Magazine. Wasn't sure if I knew that part before, but also as a father of two crazy boys, his words, not mine. Just met them for the first time. They're awesome. Coffee addict, sports junkie, but also I don't think I knew this part, that you were juggling 3 jobs before co-founding Tier One. Like that kind of boggles my mind, and like it. Well, let's dive
into that. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so that it seems like forever ago. It's every time working with new traders, I get to feel how old I am. I've been doing this for over 2021. I've been doing this for almost like 15 years now, which is crazy. I still kind of feel and have the same energy as a newbie. But yeah, right out of college, I was juggling a lot. I graduated right around the time of what was being called the Great Recession. We didn't know it at the time, but 2007 from college. And, I got the story or the question from, I kind of have a traditional family. Like it wasn't a choice to go to college. You go to college, you get a good job, and, blah, blah, blah. So after graduating college, of course, as we're mailing out graduation stuff and hopefully getting the last checks of your life from family and friends, we kept getting the question, so what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't have a job. There wasn't much available. So I decided to enroll in graduate school to basically, I was kind of done with school by then, but wanted to give myself 2 more years to kind of figure it out. And during that time, I've always just been a workaholic, and that's one of the traits that, you know, sports have taught me. That's one of the traits that has, I think, allowed me to be successful in trading. That ability to kind of just stay on the gas. I was working 3 different jobs. I was a therapeutic staff support, so I was working with children in the school district, children that had mental and behavioral health issues. I was doing that from about 7:30 to 3 o'clock each day. And then from about 3:30 to 6, I was coaching track and field at the university I was enrolled in, the one I just graduated from, or I guess I was attending grad school in. And then at nights, I was working as a part-time janitor. I was I was going to grad classes first, and then after grad classes, I was working as a part-time janitor, cleaning banks and cleaning preschools, which I prefer to banks much more than preschools. You guys have a kid, you know how dirty things can get by a lot. And then at the same time, I was trying to figure out this trading thing. So in the brief periods of time I had at night, I was watching videos and reading books and interested in the markets. But I was younger back then. I had a lot of energy.
I was gonna say, I'm exhausted just hearing you talk about this.
I don't know. I guess, you know, I had a very high motor back then. I was making more money than I ever imagined. I was making $30,000, which many people will be like, oh, that's, you know, you can't live off of $30,000 now. But at the time, a graduate, I've never seen that much money in my life. So it was worth it. And I had the energy. But it's funny you mentioned that, getting tired. That's one of the things I thought about that made me pursue trading. I was just, after about a year and a half of kind of doing this nonstop, I started to get a little bit tired. And
yeah, like when the hell did you sleep? Like
Eating.
After a year and a half of working, I decided to take a nap. But things started getting more serious with my girlfriend, then wife now. And I'm always forward thinking. So I'm always planning for the future. And I'm thinking about, hey, what's going to happen when we get married, when we have a family? And 2 things hit me. One, $30,000, I couldn't live off that, or at least live the way I wanted to off of that. You can live off $30,000, but the way a comfortable life for me and my family, I didn't think it was enough for us to live on. And 2, if, you know, I'm like you guys, I believe that the most important part of life is having freedom, especially when you have kids, is to be able to spend time with family, loved ones. And that schedule I had, 7:30 to like 12:30 at night, when would I have time for the stuff that really matters? And that was kind of the big, I guess, shock moment that hit me, where I kind of got scared and I was like, something has to change. It was tough.
So how we so throughout that year and a half period, and you're learning trading, you're learning trading at night after all this is done, like how did you find the time to, like, or I mean, yeah, like how did you focus on that? Like I'm having trouble processing, like, because I wrote down like each thing. It's just like, wait a minute, this is actually 5 jobs when you break it down, right? Because you're thrown in grad school and trading on top of the other things that you were doing during the day too. Like, so geez, like
it was, I mean, I honestly wasn't dedicating enough time to my trading.
Okay.
This is, I was doing it. I was interested in it. This comes after I had experience in the stock market, more of a medium-term investor. I was supposed to be a long-term investor, but I kept taking profits out early and blah, 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 blah. But I really wasn't, I wasn't dedicating real work into doing it. I was doing busy stuff. I was watching videos and reading books, thinking that would be enough. I really wasn't dedicating time to really get after it. And you guys know, like, trading it's not a hobby. It's not something that you can just kind of pick up and go at it halfway and be successful. You've got to fully dedicate yourself to it. And I was halfway doing that at night. It wasn't working. And that's what, you know, I guess the understanding that if I want to be successful at this, if I want to make this my real time, or my full-time job, I need to fully dedicate myself to this. And that's when I made the very smart, dumb decision to quit all three of those jobs. I don't recommend anyone doing that. It was completely
You
dumb.
took that big leap. I love it. I
It
love
was,
it, Akil.
yeah, again, I don't recommend doing that. I don't want people watching this and be like, Akil told me to quit your job. But it was the big leap, and me just being, again, a lot of my success, I think, goes back to kind of the mindset that was developed for me through sports. And it was kind of, I know that, and I'm a procrastinator as well. I know that in order for me to be motivated, the greatest way for me to self-motivate is to put myself in a must-win situation. So to put my back against the wall and say, you have to do it. And everyone's motivational styles are different, but I know me, again, I will procrastinate. I will make excuses. I will find every reason not to do something. So for me, quitting those 3 jobs and having that, oh crap moment where it's like, you either have to succeed or you're screwed. That was what I needed to really get dedicated and learn trading the proper way, or at least invest the right amount of energy and time into doing so.
So if you were to go back in time and talk to your former self, well, what advice would you give yourself?
Gosh, as far as that situation, I tell you what, again, I don't recommend anyone do it. I would do the same thing. I would, and I'm not saying that because it worked. There was a time where I thought it wasn't going to work. I was writing resumes and getting ready to recall those former employees being, hey, can you take me back? But again, I just knowing myself, I was that kid in school where if a paper was due Wednesday, I'd wait till Tuesday to do it. And I'd write a really good paper, but it took the pain of that last minute pain of realizing that you have to do this or you're going to get an F and fail. It took that to bring out my best. It took, even in sports, it took like when the game's on the line, I was that person that wanted the ball. It was like, hey, give it to me. Like, I'm going to be at my best when it matters the most. And not that I was the best athlete in the world, but that's kind of the mentality I always had, like, give me the ball. So again, just understanding yourself. And I think that's very important. And obviously, you notice, you talk so much about that. Understanding myself, that was the only way that I can see to motivate myself to really treat trading as seriously as it needed to be treated. I had to have no other option.
I love that you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Melissa.
No, I love that you had said that initial fear when you were thinking about your long-term self, like how would you have that time with your family and friends? Like that fear really propelled you forward to make that massive change. And if without that fear, would you have made that giant leap to really dive into your trading?
I wouldn't have. No,
Yeah.
It was, again, I was very comfortable. It was, again, $30,000 it's a college graduate coming out, making that much. I'm single. I was living in an apartment that I owned with 3 roommates, and they were covering all the rent. So I didn't have any bills. I'm a very frugal person by nature. I don't really buy stuff. This is a free t-shirt that we got, right? I don't really buy anything. I was very comfortable. I was happy with it. And yeah, if I wouldn't have thought in the future, and I never would have done it. I never would have done it without that fear. I never would have done it.
And so part of it was that competitive nature that you mentioned before. So having known each other now for a little while, I know that you played all kinds of sports when you were younger. Like, so was that something that was always kind of in you, or is that something that was taught to you by parents or by coaches that came to you along the way? Like, how did you develop that competitive spirit, that competitive edge?
My parents aren't really, I mean, they're more laissez-faire. They support. It's not my dad has a competitive side to him. So does my mom. My mom probably more, but we don't have the greatest relationship. But I don't think it was taught by them. They were kind of just, there was no pressure for me playing sports. It was just participate, have fun. And that's the way it should be. I enjoyed it. I think just years of doing it. I mean, doing sports since probably 4 years old. I think it just ingrained to me that, like, if you're going to do something, try to be the best at it. Like, if you're win. It feels a lot better to, win than lose. And, obviously you give effort, you have fun, you do the best you can. Sometimes you don't win. That's most important, but it's better when you win. And I think over the years of that, and as I got more serious with sports, going through high school and college, when obviously it gets more competitive and you're not only worried about winning or losing, but you're fighting every day for a spot on the field, where every practice someone is trying to take your spot. Every practice I'm trying to take someone's spot. That's the mentality that I kind of, I guess I was conditioned to have, where everything is a competition. Like if there is something available, and if I don't get it, someone else will. And if I don't get it, I'm going to feel bad. So I'm going to do all in my will to get it. Now, as I've gotten older, I've grown to understand that the competition ends up being more against yourself than others outside of sports. But I think it's just that mentality, that you against the world, kind of that fear. Someone's going to take something from you if you don't push your hardest. I think that mentality has really molded me into the person I am today. And I'm a crazy competitor, but that's my way of being. I'm very good at self-motivating. That's what sports has taught me. Very good at self-motivating.
Yeah, I could definitely empathize with you on a bunch of different levels on that one. Melissa and I were talking earlier too about marathon running and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious to hear from your perspective about winning versus losing, and winning and how it relates to trading in versus winning the trade versus winning, I guess, winning the season, right? Like so many traders are focused on winning this individual trade and focusing on that versus the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's tough. And that's where the competitive nature can go against you. And I think it's hard because in every other aspect of life, we are judged we are graded basically off kind of wins, losses, right? If you're a normal sports team, it's if you have more wins than losses, then you do good. If you had more losses than wins, you do bad. And if you're taking tests, right, the higher score you get, that's good. You get more questions wrong, that's bad. So we're very results oriented. We're conditioned to think that way from a very young age. Everything is about what's the final result? What's the final result? What's the final result? And it's no surprise that we bring that into trading. The difference in trading is that we only have so much that we can control. Like we can't control the given outcome of any given trade, right? We can take the perfect trade in the world. I'm sure you've been there where you've gotten the grade A trade. It looks perfect. You're like, I've been waiting for this my whole life. And then it loses. And you're like, what the heck? And then there's trades where it's like, I don't really want to take this, but it's in my rules, and it ends up winning. So trading is a little bit different because we're working off of probabilities. Although I don't know the outcome of this individual given trade, I don't know the outcome of the next trade or the trade after that or the trade after that, I can be pretty efficient in predicting the outcome of a large grouping of trades. And we are risk managers. We're working off probabilities. When we can combine those two things, as long as we are consistent in our approach and we're on the right side of those probabilities, long term, we're going to be successful. And this is where the mindset shift from being rules oriented to process oriented makes a massive difference. And I see this in coaching a lot. I coach track and field, so our sport's a little bit different. We don't have win-loss records. Everything we do is for the big picture goal, which is our conference championship. So the same approach that I take with trading, process over outcome, I take that to track and field as well, where each individual track meet, it's not about a time, it's not about first place, whatever. It's about doing things the right way. And I preach all year to our team where it's like, hey, my goal is to run the perfect race. So every time we have a meet, every time we have a practice, I'm judging you on, did we run the perfect race? Did we execute A? Did we execute B? Did we execute C? And I tell them that if you can run the perfect race, or as close to as possible, the perfect race, that result, that good time that you want, that will come. And trading's the same way, right? If we just focus on executing the process correctly, before you know it, bigger picture, we're going to have the outcome that we desire because we're consistently doing the right thing instead of chasing a specific result.
I love that. That's so good. But how granular do you get in developing this plan of running the perfect race or the perfect trading plan? Like,
it's, I mean, we want to be rules based in everything we do. Everything we do, we want to be rules based. Hold on one second. Hey, buddy. Our friend came back to get on camera again. Mom just snatched him up.
So cute.
That's right. We had bring your daughter to work week last week, so we could bring your son to work.
There we go. But everything needs to be rules based. So it becomes very binary in really evaluating our trades. It's, did we follow our rules? Yes or no? That's the bigger picture, 1 or 0. Did we follow our rules? And within that, we can also grade ourselves on different aspects of it. We can grade ourselves on the entry, or the analysis, the entry, the exit, the trade management. We can grade ourselves on different aspects of the trade. So if we are making a mistake, we can go back and see, hey, where do most of my faults lie? Maybe I'm good at taking the entry, but trade management, that's right. I keep taking targets early or moving my stop loss too early. And then we can kind of work on, hey, that's the part that I need to fix until we eventually get perfection or close enough to perfection with following our rules. We're only human. We're gonna make mistakes every once in a while, but we want to get as close as possible to that perfect score.
How do you coach traders to score this part? Like, are you guys giving them a standard format, or are they coming up with something on their own? Well, what's that like?
I encourage them to come up with something of their own. There's a kind of a default template that we use as far as the different aspects of the trade, because there's only so many of them. But really, it's going to depend on the individual trader and their trading plan and their way of approaching trades, because they may have more or less things that they care about. Some need to focus more on emotions, right? An emotional journal. How did I feel when I entered the trade? How did I feel when I checked it and it was halfway through? Some traders don't need that at all. It's more kind of on the systematic side, where it's like, did I do it or did I not do it? But there's really 4 parts of a trade, right? 3 parts. There's entries, there's exits, and then there's management. 4 parts. There's analysis, overall analysis. There's entries, there's exit, and there's trade management. Those are the 4 points that we always tell people that they need to focus on. And part of that is doing a regular review. I don't think enough traders review their trade and kind of look back and be critical of themselves and saying, hey, what could I have done better? And it's tough in trading because we often don't have a boss, right? We are entrepreneurs. There's no one looking over our shoulder. And sometimes it's hard to be critical of yourself. And if that's the case, I would encourage getting an accountability partner where you have a friend of yours that trades and you send them your trade, you tell them what you did and say, hey, can you look at this? And maybe there's something that I missed. And, it'll be like a teacher marking your report and giving you feedback. And if you're serious about your craft, you're reviewing it and you're trying to become better for the next trade. I think that's a massive help.
Yeah, I agree. And, one of the things that I love about Tier 1 and everything that you guys are doing, a while back, it's at least I think it was about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, you guys invited me into the platform to go see all the education. And I was just I was blown away. I thought that I would be doing more Forex trading myself at the time. Then when the pandemic hit, that kind of shifted my focus to doing more group coaching and pivoting the business. But eventually I think I'll get back to doing Forex too, because I think that it's fascinating and I love the repertoire and everything. But one of the things that I love that you guys were doing was the accountability sessions, where they're coming on, they're sharing what they're doing, and yourself. And is Jason also in there on the accountability sessions too?
Yeah, so he's the main one that runs them. Those were his ideas, and man, that is. It's more valuable than I ever imagined, right? When we first talked about it, and we developed the business in 6 weeks, which is crazy, first and foremost. So,
I did not know this.
Yeah, that's another story for you. We built out a business in 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Which is crazy. But one we were looking to, we had a bunch of ideas that we had wanted to do when we were working with the other company that we just weren't able to do. So when we were brainstorming, we wanted to do things our way, and we wanted to take some risk. We wanted to play around with a few things that we thought were important, but weren't necessarily being done in the industry yet. And accountability sessions were one of them. I said, hey, it sounds like a cool idea. And it's so powerful because just we talked about accountability and the ability to, I guess let's take a step backwards, right? The power of Tier 1 trading is our community, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we coach, we have lessons. Like I said, you got to play around in the sandbox and it's amazing stuff, but
Mhm.
we're nothing without the community. It is a group of traders that really want to help and support others and help you get better. It is a bunch of yous on the platform that want to see people become successful. And it's hard in this internet era when everyone's worldwide and you don't really know each other. So the cool thing about those accountability sessions is you get a little bit more insight about the person and you start to develop those relationships where it's like, oh yeah, I did that too. Or, oh, I was the same way. Or you're from here, I'm from there too. We're close, let's meet up. And I think when you have that, when you have more of a personal relationship outside of a name on a platform, when you have more of a personal relationship, you're more encouraged to lend a helping hand. You're more encouraged to support. You see that vulnerability as well, and you can relate to it. And I think human relationships form stronger because of that. And when we have a better human relationship, we have a better business relationship or accountability type of relationship. So it's massive. It is, and I know you do this every day, but it fires me up whenever I hear these stories of traders, whether it's a first time or someone's coming back and they're updating us on how things are going. Like I just feel like not guilty, but I feel motivated. Like I have to help more. Like I have to help them get over the edge. They're right there. I just feel it holds me accountable and Jason as well as coaches that we don't get lazy and we really want to continue to help these people whenever we hear more the cool things they're doing. It's I never thought it would be as great as it is. And hats off to Jason for that one.
That's so motivating. And you reminded me of the story that E.T. Was telling, not E.T. the extraterrestrial, but Eric Thomas was telling about wild horses. Right, like you have one, and I think that it could move like 2,000 pounds on its own. You get two of them together, and then they're able to move like 5,000 pounds together, and it's just like, oh, that's kind of weird. You think that one could do 2,000, two should be able to do 4,000. No, 5,000 together. But as they're training together, like they could eventually move 17,000 together. So like that's the power of community right there.
It's amazing. It is. Speechless. It's amazing. And it's something that we were so nervous to do because of, you see a lot, you see a lot of forums on the internet and typically they become pretty toxic with Pip Daddy and, all those people that are in there for their own selfish nature. But when you get the right people working together, it's unstoppable. It is, like you said, it is unstoppable. If you're doing everything you want to do, you are held accountable. You're with those other wild horses and you're peer pressured into doing things the right way. And you as a group, we can do some amazing things. It's incredible.
It goes back to the team, back to sports about when you have the right people on the team, anything can happen.
There we go. I got a group of girls right now that I'm working with, and they're not the most talented in the world. But they're all working together hard and they are progressing like crazy this year. And it's all because every day they're coming in, they're working with each other and they're when one has a bad day, the other one picks them up and they're doing things I didn't think they would do. Just because it's a strong group. It's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah. And it's not intuitive, at least not on the surface, that it's an individual sport. Right, running is an individual sport. Just I guess unless if you're doing relays, but like for most of the time, it's an individual sport. Just like how trading is an individual sport, but when you have this community, you're still doing better.
You know what? I've never even made that comparison. You think being a track coach, I always think about golf. Track is an individual sport. Trading is an individual sport. Yeah, that's. Man, here we go. But you're right. I mean, like, take marathons, for example. If you find a pack to run with and everyone's fighting for an individual time or mark or distance, whatever like that. But if you find a group and that group works together with the same common goal of like, hey, we just want to finish, that group goes faster. And we encourage pack running all the time in our track team where it's like, hey, don't leave anyone behind. Get a group of 5 and work together and you're going to be stronger. Yeah, it's a good comparison.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like my wheels are turning too on how to incorporate more of that into the coaching that we do.
Mhm.
Like great stuff, man. Like I always get so many gems from these conversations. Well,
Yes.
with you, with Jason. Earlier we had Austin Silver on,
Mhm.
amazing too. He's going to
Good
be
dude.
at the Trader Vault Summit next week. We've got Dr. Brett Steenbarger
I
joining
saw
us.
that. I saw the promo for that. Whew, hats off to you.
Oh man,
That's a
I can't
legend.
wait.
He is a
Can't wait.
legend. That's incredible.
Akil, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So your competitive side is actually, I am married to another competitive person, Mike, and
I
I'm
don't know what you're
competitive
talking
too.
about.
We have that competitive edge. But when you started trading and you had to understand that losses were a part of the game, how did you first deal with that, especially since you were always in for the win?
I couldn't. It was loss equaled bad for me. And I did what many traders were doing. Like as soon as I got a loss, something had to be wrong. I had to do something wrong. And sometimes I was doing something wrong, but then I would just change it. And I would always be a step behind. So I would lose a trade. I was like, oh, it lost because of this. Let me switch that. The next trade, it would do the thing that if I would have done it the same way I would have done last time, it would have won. But because I switched it, it lost again. Oh, let me change that. And I was just kind of flip-flopping back and forth. It was, I really didn't grasp the concept. I was told process over outcome, right? My mentor did a great job of ingraining that in my head. I just never listened, right? I just never listened. Competitive person, win good, lost bad, blah, 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 shortcut, all the stuff that many new traders do. It really, my success didn't come until I hit rock bottom. It was a time where I'd given up. I had basically come to the end of my window of when I quit the 3 jobs, I put a certain amount of money aside that said like, hey, I had a year to make it before I had to stop. And of course, in my mind, I was going to be a successful trader in like a week because that's what the internet tells you, right? But I
Of
was getting to the end of that
course.
period. I wasn't having success, and I had, I was dusting off the resumes, and I finally I did some reviews, and I realized that one of the reasons, I compared what my results were versus what my results would have been if I were doing things the right way. And of course, if I did things the right way, they would have been better. So I dedicated the last like 6 months I had left. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to follow the dumb rules. I'm going to follow the plan. I'm not going to, touch anything after I do it. I'm going to do what my mentor and my coaches told me to do. And then I'm going to write them an angry email saying it didn't work. You stole my money, all this fun stuff. And I made a process related goal. I said, okay, well, I understand that cold turkey on quitting mistakes is probably not going to work. I'm not going to just stop and be a perfect trader in a month, but let's just slowly nibble at it, right? If I'm making 20 mistakes a month, right? The next month, let's try to make 19. The next month, let's try to make, one less. And I did that. And again, with no expectations, again, I was just on my last leg, just kind of buying time. And I remember it was about probably like 3-4 months after I started doing this. I checked, I guess it had to be 3 months. I checked like a quarterly account statement, and the number at the bottom was positive. Now, like the entire time before that, I'm used to seeing a red number, a number in parentheses, and like, how much money I lost. And I look at it and it's positive. And I remember emailing my broker. I'm like, I think you sent me the wrong statement by accident because this guy made money. Congrats to him, but that's not me. And they sent me back a response. No, sir, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Stokes, it's the actual account. And I was like, what? I was in profit. And that was the biggest shift. I did things the right way and I was rewarded for it. And that was all the belief I needed. Ever since then, I have never looked back. It was like, that belief cycle got started, right? I had more belief. I took more of the right actions. I got more of the right results. And as I kept getting more of the right results, my belief started getting bigger and bigger and more confident. And you fast forward, 13 years later, and I am a machine in the market. Just as far as like, I can care less about the outcome of any given trade. I don't want to say I can care less, but I no longer act on my emotions. I still have them.
Mm.
I got skunked out of a tough trade this morning, stopped me out, and then went on to hit would-be targets. And I'm like, son of a, but I know, like, The old me would have revenge traded. I would have got back in short. That's part of the game. And I've drunk in the Kool-Aid on process over outcome, man. And as long as the results keep proving that, I'm never going back. I'm so scared of going back to the old ways. But I think it takes a drastic, just like you said, when I took the leap of faith. And I don't necessarily, maybe you can chime on this. I don't know necessarily how to create that, but it takes that fear. It took the fear of my future to take trading seriously. It took the fear of losing everything to start doing things the right way. And a question I've always had, and you can chime in, is it natural to, do you have to naturally hit that place where you don't have where you have to make a choice about self-change, or can you manufacture that? I guess like I don't know. What do you guys think?
You can manufacture it, and the reason why I know that is because that's exactly what we did at Tony Robbins' event, Unleash the Power Within. Are you familiar?
Yes,
I'm sure you've heard of Tony. Have you been to the event?
I've not been to the event, but this was a game change. This is
which one is that?
I took the covers off. This was Awaken the Giant Within.
Oh man,
this was a game changing book for me.
Oh man, I haven't read that one yet. I've got to pick that up.
It's big. I don't know when it's from. It's this. This was the first book my first trading mentor told me to read, just on mindset. It had to be. This is 91. It looks like.
Wow.
So it's an old one, but yeah,
I wish that I had that back in 91. 91. I was in the mean streets of Astoria, running around playing football.
Astoria Hood.
Yeah, the Astoria Hood in New York City. But so at Unleash the Power Within, one of the exercises that we did was called the Dickens exercise. If you ever read that Charles Dickens story, the Christmas Carol, where he's visited by 3 ghosts. We basically did something like that, where leading up to this exercise, we had thought about our goals, what we clearly wrote everything out. We understood that you can turn emotion on like this, to be happy or sad, that you could summon the state that you want to be in on demand. And he gave us strategies on how to do it. So in leading up to this exercise, one of the things he's like, all right, I want you to try to get into a state where you are going to be emotional and sad. And you'll probably hear other people around you feeling sad and crying, try to outdo that person, right? So that competitive spirit to get even more worked up than the other person. And so part of the Dickens exercise was to start to think about our goals that we wanted to achieve, all those things that we wanted to achieve. Think about the limiting beliefs that we had, part of another exercise, and start to think about what would happen if we held on to those limiting beliefs from getting our goal, right? And so where would you be in the next year if you still held on to these set of limiting beliefs that you had, right? And we outlined the top 3 limiting beliefs that we had. Where would you be in a year? Where would you be in 5 years? Fast forward 10 years, what does your life look like holding on to this? And I'm a mess, crying on the floor, thinking that Lily's growing up and she's a crackhead, and all these, all because I still held on to these limiting beliefs that I had. And so from there, that was right, kind of manufacturing the emotion. We could summon the emotions of what we want and creating that fear, right? You mentioned just now fear as a motivator. Yes, fear is a great motivator. So tying all that fear, all that emotion to that undesirable outcome let go of beliefs and started to change the beliefs. They say that emotion is motion, right? It's energy in motion. So if you tie such strong emotion to both the things that you want, positively charged emotion, and tie that negative emotion to those negative beliefs, well, like it just becomes like it rips the weeds of these limiting beliefs out of the ground and helps you toss them aside. And
it's so true. I was just thinking about for dieting also, I'm on this restart right now. It's like a 30-day restart, but they even say like, sometimes you need that fear or that like awakening that if I don't make this positive change, like X, Y, and Z happens. Like, so my brother-in-law had type 2 diabetes and like some serious health risks, and he had to make serious changes. He wants to be around for his daughter to grow up, and because of that he was able to lose the weight within like 30 days, where it took him how many years of saying I'm gonna die. He kept putting it off, procrastinating, putting it off, but it was that realization and that awakening, just like you said, whether it's manufactured or it's real, like it is a real health risk, to make that positive change.
That's
the
cool.
alternative needs to be unacceptable, right? Like that's where the burning the boats analogy kind of comes in. Like there's no turning back, right? Like your back was up against the wall. Like you put yourself in that spot, and it worked out. Yeah, like it's tough to make that as a recommendation. Like I would, it would be challenging for me to recommend that to somebody. But I think that you telling that story and other people hearing that, and it's more about the unacceptable nature of failure, right? Like, and allowing that fear to help motivate. That's what I think helps people break through the wall.
And I would say this too, just for the listeners out there. I didn't just wake up one day and be like, I quit. It was planned out. So it was planned out months in advance, where it's like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to prepare myself to be able to survive and whatnot. So it wasn't, it didn't just wake up and be like, I'm done, I quit. It was, it was thought about and planned out. And I think that's important as well.
I love it. It's a great segue, Akil, cool, into what you feel is that effort plus time equals success. And would love to hear more about how you came up with that formula.
I'm just a genius. That's what it is. Just pure Stokesisms. No, I see that. I see that with traders we work with. I see that in really every aspect of life, especially with coaching, track and field, and sports as well. I'm just a true believer that anyone can be successful, right? In sports, it's athletics. It's a little bit different. Like if you want to go to the NBA, you have to hit genetic lottery, right? If you're not 6'7" and some freak of nature, you're going to be confined. But in trading and in business, right, anyone can be successful. And I think we need to understand that you just have to do the right things. You have to invest the right amount of effort, and you've got to do it for long enough, right? And I think there's a proven formula in anything out there, where it's like, especially in these days where we have access to the internet and there's an answer for everything on the internet, there is a proven way to be successful at everything or at anything. People have proven that. I watch YouTubers that smash watermelons open and make millions of dollars. So if you do the right things and you do it the right way, and I would add, you got to do it for the right reasons as well. I do think that plays a role when you do things for the right reasons. It adds motivation that's going to help you kind of cross that time threshold, because the time threshold is the hardest one of doing things the right way, investing the right energy and not seeing a payoff. That's where most people quit, because it's like, and especially in this instant gratification world, if they don't see a payoff right away, it's like, I'm going to do something else. I think when you do things for the right reasons, you're not necessarily worried about that instant gratification from a monetary perspective, because you're getting that value from what you actually value. In what I do for example, I'm helping people. So whether I'm making money or not, I get value from helping people and hearing those stories, right? And that will allow me to keep doing what I'm doing until the business gets to a point where it would make money, for example. But yeah, I think the only reason that people quit is or fails because they quit before they have a chance to succeed. And I think if you just do things the right way and you keep at it, you're going to be successful. It just takes time. It takes time. Like any other J curve out there, you're going to spend a lot of time kind of below the axis, doing all the hard work, and then boom, before you know it, you pop to the upside and become an instant success. Of course, overnight success. That's what everyone says. We know the truth.
Yeah. Instant success, 10 years in the making.
Exactly.
At least that's what my journey was. Hopefully people are able to find success doing trading faster than that. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to hear what do you think are some good reasons to be doing this, or
trading?
What would you consider as good reasons versus
I think it's the best business in the world. Mm-hmm. It's completely flexible, right? Mm-hmm. My trading mentor, he has a business, or he wrote a book called Nomadic Wealth, where it's, you create a business, you put yourself in a position where your business can run anywhere. You're not confined to a brick and mortar. Trading is amazing because if you have an internet connection and a computer or a phone these days, you can trade from anywhere. I can be here in my office. I can be out of town. I could be in another country. Where my physical location has zero effect on my ability to extract profits from the market. I also think it's skill-based, meaning if you work, the harder you work, the more successful you become in trading. There's no kind of, again, genetic lottery that you have to hit. You need to be of a certain intelligence level, but you don't need to be a super genius. And in fact, I think the smarter you are, book smarter you are, the harder it is to be a trader. But most importantly is freedom of time. The biggest thing I wanted, especially after working the 3 jobs and then having my whole day kind of sucked away, is I want to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. That is my main goal in life. I know that sounds selfish. I've worked really, really hard. I worked really, really hard for the first 25 years of my life doing stuff that other people would never do. And my payoff, I want me time. I want the ability to live my life on my own terms. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it. If I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. I want that option. And there's always going to be things that we have to do that we don't really want to do, just kind of but we have that choice. There's no boss. So freedom of time is amazing. Location is amazing as well. And the fact that there's no ceiling. There's no, it's not a kind of regular 9 to 5 where my ability to move up the corporate ladder depends on someone else quitting or what someone else thinks of me, right? If I want to make more money at trading, if I want to be a better trader, it's all on me. Now the floor is all on me as well, right? I can fail. But as a competitor, right, I'll bet on myself every day, all day, twice on Sundays. I will gladly take the risk of having no floor versus having no ceiling. So that's what I love about trading. I think it's the best business in the world. And there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Bet on yourself all day long. I love that.
And you can literally make money while you're sleeping in the markets, literally, especially the Forex market that goes overnight, right? Literally.
Yeah.
Make money while you sleep.
Oh my goodness.
Quick question, Akil, what was the author of the book? It was Nomadic Wealth. Scott was just asking.
Nomadic Wealth by Jason Stapleton. He was my trading mentor. That's the guy that kind of slapped me around and knocked the sense out of the young cocky trader that I was, or cocky wannabe trader. He was the one of the co-owners of Trade Empowered, which is the company that I first got involved with when it came to trading education. So he's been a major impact in my life. Still good friends. He's doing different things right now. I'm kind of more broader scheme of helping people with businesses and whatnot. But Nomadic Wealth, man, he's all about. He's the one that taught me I only want to do what I want when I want. It seems selfish at first, but it makes perfect sense now.
Okay, and I'll put it out there. If anybody else has any questions for Akil, feel free to put it in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll be able to ask those questions to Akil.
Awesome. I've got one follow-up question while we're waiting for the audience to submit theirs. So, Akil, you mentioned harder work as or part of what got towards success. I think that there's a lot of confusion about hard work and like what are you working hard on? Like a lot of traders, especially when they're new, think that means, oh, I need to be placing more trades. Well, what are you working hard on?
I am working hard on two things. And we just had a conversation this morning about the same thing. How when I was a younger trader, I thought if you weren't involved in a trade at all times, you weren't a trader. Less is kind of more for me now. I'd rather take, quality trades over the quantity. But I'm working hard on two things. I am working hard on one, I want to perfectly execute my plan as a trader. So again, if we think about our trading plan as being like a race, as we spoke about earlier, I want to run the perfect race. I want to get to the end of the year. I want to go through all my trading stats and I want to have 100% efficiency. Now, again, I don't know if that will ever happen. I'm a human being. So there's going to be stuff where I hit buy instead of sell. That happens from time to time, or I miss a trade that I was supposed to take, or, but the goal is to be as close to that as possible. I also want to master the markets. And this is interesting because I don't believe the markets are something that we can master. But it's the goal to do so. And it's, I always look at the market as being, it is an unsolvable puzzle where you have the pieces, but maybe there's always a piece missing that you don't know about. And each day we're coming in trying to get more of that puzzle done. And it's so inspiring. It's so motivating. And my goal is I want to work hard on identifying the small little tendencies that can increase my edge by the 0.0001%. I'm a firm believer in the Kaizen philosophy. That's Japanese for continuous improvement. So as long as I'm getting a little bit better each day, I'm working towards that ultimate goal of perfecting the markets, 100% efficiency. Even if I know I'll probably never get there, I enjoy the journey of getting as close as possible. That's the motivating factor for me.
Spoken like a true athlete.
Oh, Victor asks, can you give us a little bit more detail about your daily routine?
Sure. So I get up, I've gotten a little lazy lately since having kids, right? They suck the life out of me as far as sleep, maybe when that 2-year-old starts sleeping more. But I'll typically wake up anywhere between 5 and 6, usually 5:30, 6 at the latest. If I know it's kind of if I know there's not much going on in the market.
Lazy bastard.
But I know. Come on now. It's usually like 5:30.
You morning people, I can't stand it.
Oh, my wife hates me because I'm one of those types. Like I hop out the bed excited for the day. So like I do like a backflip out the bed and I'm like, yeah, morning. And she's like,
throws a pillow at you.
Yeah, she's like, get out of here. I'm all excited and stuff. So I wake up and the first thing I do is not trading related. Now, if I have open positions on from overnight, and again, in the Forex market, it's a 24/7 market, so it never sleeps. Weird stuff happens in London Open, so you got to deal with that. But I try to do something non-trading related for the first 15 to 30 minutes. It could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be checking sports scores, checking emails, instant messages. But I've found that although my body is up and active and doing backflips and roaring at the sun, my brain takes a little bit of time to turn on. And one of the things I noticed that is if I get directly into the charts, I'm not really seeing things the way that I should be, and I make mistakes. So I've incorporated that 30-minute, 15-minute kind of secondary wake up into my routine. After that, I do my first round of top-down analysis. So I'm a swing trader, so I go from the daily down to the hourly, usually on the 4-hour time frames where I operate. So I'll do my look around the markets. If it's the beginning of the week, I'll kind of make my initial predictions. Where are the key levels of structure? What have we cleared? I have a process called identify, predict, decide, execute. So I want to identify what's happening on the chart. I want to make a prediction on what I think is likely to happen next. And then I want to make notes of, okay, if we do this, then I look for that. If we do that, then I look for this. I basically set up my game plan for the day, or add on to the game plan from the previous analysis. And I do that at this point, because I know exactly what I'm looking for on the charts. I can do that in less than a half an hour each day. Mondays are usually a little bit longer, but like as Friday comes, it's just kind of like 15 minutes and I'm done. So I do that. I take a breakfast break, charge up, and then I run a live trading room from about 7:30 to about 10 o'clock each day. So we're going back into the markets, higher timeframes and lower timeframes with a group of traders. We're redoing analysis. I'm walking them through what's on my radar, why I like it, why I don't like it. We're visiting and analyzing trades and pairs and stocks and cryptos, or maybe not a lot of cryptos, but commodities perhaps that they're interested in. And we're basically doing technical analysis and going on conversations like this as well for about 2.5 hours each day. After that, I go work out, right? And working out is big part of my routine because you got to fill out these t-shirts. You know how it is, right? You got to make these t-shirts look good. But seriously, it helps de-stress, and that's big, right? We carry a lot of baggage. A book that I read very early on in my career, I don't know which one it is. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's white, so it's called The Winning.
Oh my God, AJ gave me that one.
It's hard to find. This is hard to find. I only it's a series of 4. It's hard to find. Oh, he's gonna go get it. I think we're the only 2 people in the world with this book.
Buddies.
Look at that. Look at that. This is so hard to find. Like it was hard for me to find when I got it, but this was a book that scared me. If I remember correctly, there was a story about a trader who basically lost his family because he was trading, and we know the stresses that come with trading. And he was carrying that baggage home to his family. So he's yelling at kids, yelling at the wife, or ignoring them. And they ended up getting divorced, and he lost his family. And that scared the hell out of me because I think it's natural to do that. If I have a bad trading day, it hangs on you, especially earlier on in my career. If I have a good trading day, I also want to do stupid stuff. I want to let the good times roll and start taking more trades. So having that disconnect, having that period where your trading is done and you get away from the charts, you do something else, especially, again, working out for me, that's a stress reliever because you're putting your body through other types of pain that replaces the trading pain. I found that when I do that, I come back to the market in a neutral setting. I'm no longer happy if it was a great day. I'm no longer frustrated and mad if it was a bad day. And then I can look at the charts in a fresh perspective in the afternoon, or more importantly, go play with my kids and not be pissed off for the rest of the day. Then aside from that, I do what I want for the rest of the day. If it's track season, I'll go and coach track at some point in the afternoon. I'll play with kids, go to the park. I'll do business stuff that I have to do every once in a while. And then I do a nightly round of analysis as well after the New York close, prepare myself for what may happen during the London session, or if there's any, trading opportunities that I need to be looking at in the afternoon, and then go to sleep and repeat the process. But very, very systematic, but basically after about 11, 12, it's my day is free pretty much, unless I'm actively like watching a trade that I need to get involved in.
Wow.
This is great. You already mentioned that one book, but are there any other books you would recommend? And then I'll hand it back over to Mike.
Oh man, there's so many. Any particular topic? I want to give one that
maybe your favorite trading book besides that Tony Robbins you had mentioned.
I don't want to disrespect anyone. I would say this. So my
top 5.
I'll give you 2 number 1 books
Right.
that I think every trader should read. And I think Trading in the Zone by the great Mark Douglas is a must. That is trading psychology. That is it's going to put you where you need to be as far as the mindset and the importance of psychology. The Market Wizards series was one of my favorites. And for 2 reasons. One, I always think if you want to be successful, the best way to become successful is to find someone that has already done what you want to do and follow them, right? Find someone that has already been successful and be like, hey, I want to be successful too. I know you've got 10 years of war stories. Teach me, so maybe it only takes me 2 years or something like that. That's the best thing you can do. But what affected me most with Market Wizards is that, these are the best traders in the world, or best traders of all time, or some of the best traders of all time that are being interviewed. And at the time, my mindset was that there's only a single way to trade. There must be a magic holy grail trading secret that all the great traders use. And when reading the book, I realized that all of these traders were different. All of these traders had different styles, different techniques, and they were all successful. They also, except for one, I believe, went through very hard periods. There was one guy that took a trade, lost all his money, was in the stairwell, had to call his mom for a loan so he can get back into the market. And that made me feel great, because I think that's the most depressing thing you can do, is call your mom for help and for money in the market. And to see that this guy hit that rock bottom point and still became successful, it gave me belief that I can do it too. Because at the time I wasn't even not very good. I was just bad. And I didn't have a lot of confidence that I can be good. So, but seeing, just like quarterback Tom Brady, where you're a late round draft pick and you can go on to be one of the greatest ever, is inspiring. It kind of makes you think I can do this too. And that belief is all you need sometimes. Sometimes you just need a belief to kind of motivate you to do the right things and get you started. So Market Wizards, trading in the zone is a good one. So many others on different topics too.
Last question for me. I've been asking this of everybody. One of the things that Jason pointed out was that all of us coming together is kind of like the trading Avengers. Who's your favorite Avenger?
Oh, like actual Avenger or trading Avenger?
Actual Avenger.
Ooh, man.
Actual Avenger. Who's your favorite and why?
Gosh. We're not counting. Well, Spider-Man doesn't really count as one, right? He's in it, but not in there. Does he? He's not really one, but he's kind of one. I like Spider-Man. That's the toughest question I fielded all day. Yeah, give me a second. It's gotta be. I like Iron Man. I don't like Iron Man when he's not Iron Man.
So you don't like Tony Stark?
Yeah, I wouldn't like Tony Stark in real life. Like if I were to meet Tony Stark in real life, I'd want to punch him in his face. But Iron Man is awesome. I'm gonna go with Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man because Spider-Man isn't afraid to be himself. Like Spider-Man, you get what you get with Spider-Man. He's kind of dorky. He's kind of cool. He's not he's not the popular kid. But he does his thing. He does it for the right reasons. And he can swing from webs. That's kind of cool, man. I would love to swing through Manhattan with webs.
Especially New York City, right?
Yes, exactly.
Beat the subways.
So yeah. My family's from New York, so I hate traveling up there, man. We get caught so much. But yes, I like Spider-Man. What would you guys pick?
For me, I'm picking Captain America. I love the transformation story of him, where he's this scrawny guy, kind of got pushed around and beat up, but
never gave up.
He always had the heart of a champion. And then as he became Captain America, he kind of filled out into the person that he was inside.
Fit that T-shirt.
Oh yeah, he filled out that T-shirt.
Yeah, he filled out the T-shirt. That's right.
How about you, Melissa? Who's yours?
Wanda Witch. She's pretty awesome with her the fire powers.
We just got finished that series.
I can totally do that. But you can catch these guys at the Trader Vault Summit, April 23rd. So excited. It's going to be a whole host of expert traders. Jason Grayson is going to be there, Austin Silver, and plus many more. So we'll have the registration link in the YouTube description, but definitely go check them out. And where else can they find you, Akil?
Can I say one last thing I was thinking about this event earlier.
Sure.
And I just think it's so cool that we get all of us together on the same page. And we talked about competition earlier, and you would think that we all have different businesses, from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, everyone's fighting for the same customers. They should be hating each other and whatever like that. The thing that brings us together is we all want the same end game. We don't really care how who takes who or whatever like that. There's no competition between any of us. We want to change the landscape of the belief that you can be a retail trader, you can be successful, and kind of get rid of all that spammy stuff you see out there. And I think we don't talk about that as much, but it's so cool to have the relationship with people that are like-minded and not have any hate or any bad blood, and everyone has kind things to say about each other. You have no idea how powerful it is for you guys listening. It's incredible, and we're making a dent, and more people are preaching the right message, and it's going to give retail traders a bright future, man. I'm so pumped about that. It's so cool. It's so cool. All right. Sorry about it. You can find me TierOneTrading.com, Trading Coach Podcast, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm not on WhatsApp. I'm not on Telegram. If anyone reaches, there's a bunch of fake accounts out there. If people reach out to you and ask for money or stuff like that, it's not me. But I try to post motivational stuff. I actually don't do as much like trading related stuff. I just, more positivity stuff, just stuff that's going to get you in the right mindset and whatnot. So give me a follow. YouTube video every week. I'm horrible at promoting myself. Sorry.
Your content is phenomenal. I follow you on all the social platforms. I listen to the podcast. I watch the videos. Everybody else should as well. You want motivation. You want somebody that is going to give you clear, solid advice. Akil's your man. Well, Akil, I appreciate you being here with us. As always, can't wait to see you again on the 23rd. Looking forward to it. And I want to thank all of you for being with us here today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And Akil, such a pleasure to finally meet you.
You too. You too.
Can't wait to see you guys at the vault. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing.
All right. Take care, Spidey. Peace out.
All right. See you, Captain America. And Wanda.
What'd you think of Akil?
Oh my God, I loved him. And what an amazing story. Working 3 jobs, building up Tier 1 trading, and being a wonderful father and trader and mentor to so many traders.
5 jobs,
Oh,
but right,
yes.
yeah, we can't leave out being a student and also growing Tier 1 at the same time with the other 3
It's
like that.
Unbelievable. Like, I was just like, how did he have time to do it all?
Where there's a will, there's a way. Competitive spirit.
I agree. It always made me think from the highlights. One of the things that I really got out of it, that he was always forward thinking, and that when he was working those 3 jobs, he really had to realize that he had to take that leap of faith, looking at what he wanted for his life, for his future family, and that gave him the motivation to really dive into his trading. And I love that. What did you get out of it?
Yeah, forward thinking is very important. Like planning, but at the same time, not getting too caught up in planning where there's no doing. Right? Like, I think that there's a line that we need to think about too, where you want to be more action oriented versus planning. Yes, planning is important, but without the doing, like there is no
Absolutely. Focus
progress.
is so important. I think you're right. If he didn't take that leap, he would never have been able to focus on his trading and really gotten that as successful as he did with it.
Right, and backing himself up against the wall, like he did. Like he put himself in a position where he had to act, right?
And he had to make it work. He gave himself that year to really make trading work for him.
Yeah, so I think the motivation and inspiration really is an important thing. Another thing that he mentioned too that I really liked a lot was the idea of running the perfect race, and then clearly outlining what that means as far as not just competitively with running and coaching runners, but for trading, right? Like outlining the entries, the exits, trade management, having his checklist of what does a perfect trade constitute, and then going back and reviewing that each and every trade to see did I operate perfectly, right? And it's not, is this trade a winner? Is this trade a loser? No. Did I do what I needed to do? Yes or no? And giving himself that kind of score and having that be the goal versus this trade being a winner and this trade being a loser.
And one thing that really hit home for me was that the accountability partner. As a writer, it's so hard to be able to critique your own work. So as we've always been able to find critique partners to be able to give that constructive criticism in order to continue to grow as an author. And the same applies for trading, that he would, within his service, would be able to have accountability partners. So if you can't be critical for yourself, is to figure out what's working, what's not working, to have somebody else that you trust to be able to help you with that.
Yeah, it's important to be able to bounce ideas off of other people, right? Like 2 heads are better than 1, 4 sets of eyes are better than 2.
Absolutely. Anything else that you got out of the interview?
so many things, but I think that we'll let you guys decide. Well, what are some of the highlights that you like from this? Let us know. Leave us a comment or hit us up on any of the social media platforms we're on: Twitter, StockTwits, Instagram. Oh, where the hell else are we? YouTube.
We're all over.
Yeah, all over the place. So
Traders
hit us up somewhere.
Mindchat Show. And if you want the full list of the 10 highlights, be sure to check out marwealth.com. And there's still time to subscribe and be registered for the Trade
Trader Vault Summit.
online summit. So you can watch it
Yes.
from the comfort of your own home and be able to watch these great traders be able to share their stories.
Yeah, and me too.
And you check out this great guy too. So that's amazing.
Yes, so thanks so much for being here with us today. Thank you for watching. Now take it and run with it.
See you next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.